I'm a married mid-30s father of 2 here. I considered myself very happily married up until 2 weeks ago. I have a very attractive younger colleague who I've been working with for a little over a year. We immediately hit it off professionally, work very well together, and have received accolades from superiors for our collaborations. She recently left a signed note in my desk drawer confessing that she was wildly attracted to me, wanted to have sex, didn't care if it was one time only or ongoing. She also said she knew I was married, knew it was wrong to suggest, but could no longer stay quiet, and would leave the decision to me. I haven't answered her yet, and she hasn't said another word about it. In the meantime, both our working relationship has, of course, become quite weird. I keep wondering why I haven't responded with a simple "thanks, I'm very flattered but couldn't possibly." The simple answer is that the more I think about it, the more attractive the idea becomes. I don't know what to do. Update: I wanted to say thanks to all who commented, and for the good advice from many. It made me think hard. On Sunday, I showed my wife the note and told her I was going to ask to be assigned to work with someone else, and asked her opinion about any other steps I should take. She started crying and hugged me, said she always was suspicious of my colleague, had sensed that she was attracted to me and had been somewhat worried. Even suspicious of me a few times, for which she apologized. We ended up talking about it for several hours, and it was wonderful to clear the air with her and get this load off my shoulders. Yesterday, I asked my colleague to go to coffee with me. I handed her the note back and told her I could not do such a thing, even though I had been briefly tempted. Then I told her I thought it would be best if we mutually sought to be reassigned. I told her, at my wife's suggestion, that I had spoken to my wife about the issue, and that she had suggested I photocopy the note and take it to HR, but that I didn't want to go that route, and would rather that we both came out of this okay, with our jobs intact. Left hanging was the implication that I probably had made a copy of the note, and that since my wife knew, I had backup should any sheet later hit the fan. She was fighting back tears at this point and kept apologizing for putting me in this position, and said she would do whatever I thought was best. So we worked it out that we would both approach our boss together and say that, while we were happy with our work to date, we were both looking for new challenges and, perhaps, new team members. That meeting is planned for tomorrow, and I believe the boss, who is a very smart woman, will get the message and reassign us both without prejudice. Once again, thanks for the good advice, Redditors. If there's interest, I will post a follow-up to tomorrow's meeting. Yes, I did tell my wife that I had been tempted, and I apologized for not immediately sending the note back. She said yes, I should have done that, but that she understood. She has met my colleague several times in business settings, and has commented more than once that she is very attractive and is surprised she's still single. Clearly, I should have immediately turned down the offer. I never considered myself someone who would stray. I was, in retrospect, kind of obnoxiously proud of the image I had of myself as a good man and husband. That image is now quite different. This has been a wake-up call, and I have been doing much more soul-searching than I care to detail. Looking back at my posts, I have cast my colleague in a one-dimensional light. She is a good person, a very good person. She has been an excellent colleague, and everyone we work with has nothing but praise for her. The chemistry between us was almost immediately apparent, but I chalked it up to us having very similar backgrounds and outlooks on the best way to get things done. But looking back, I have to be honest in saying that what I thought was just collegiality on my part could have been construed as flirting, and I have to take my share of the blame for that. If she made a mistake in being tempted and sending that note, I made one in not turning her down immediately and in involving other people that would have been better uninvolved. Hello, I'm a 57-year-old guy. My daughter Jane, 21 female, has recently been accepted into the university of her choice, and me and my wife, 55F female, are glad with this news. The only thing is that Jane got accepted to do an English degree. Now Jane, compared to her two brothers Mark, 28 male, and Leo, 30 male, was quite late in applying to university. When me and my wife asked her to start at 18, she claimed that she was not ready and wanted to have a little rest. A little rest being going out with friends and traveling the whole of last year with her boyfriend aitA. Should be noted that I supplied Jane with all the money needed for her little rest. My wife and I have nothing against Jane doing what she did. She's young and young people need to explore and do what they do. However, before me and my wife allowed for Jane to do her thing, we made her promise that when she did apply to university it was for a degree that was worth it. Jane was going through a weird phase where she wanted to be many things that were more on the creative side. Fast forward a year later, we find out that Jane's gone behind our backs and applied for an English degree. Both Leo and Mark took medical degrees and are now very good, well-paid doctors. One would think that this would motivate Janet to go on the same path, but instead she has decided to be herself. I sat down Jane last night and told her that if she decided to go through with the English degree, I would not support her at all and that she would have to take out her own student loan. At this she began crying, claiming that I was the worst dad ever and had always favored her brothers over her because I had paid for their university fees. Now, this is totally incorrect. I did literally pay for her travel all of last year. My sons think that I'm being too harsh and that I should simply support Jane regardless of what she chooses. But is it too much to ask of my daughter to follow through with an actually useful degree? Edit. No, my daughter's year of travel does not add up to her brother's tuition fees, not even close. For those wondering, I work as a cardiologist. Me not wanting my daughter to do an English degree is not because I'm sexist, but because I want her to do something useful which she can live off instead of depending on me for the rest of her life. Though I don't even know if this is something she really wants to do, or if it's another way of trying to rebel against me. Update. I would like to start by saying that I appreciate all the comments that were given, however unpleasant they were. They helped me understand that I was in the wrong, and some provided me with advice on what I should do if I wanted to keep in contact with my daughter. I realized that I was living too much in the past and wasn't taking into consideration how much things have changed in the last 30 years. My father worked as an artist, paintings, and had little to no business. The only thing that saved my family from absolute poverty was my mother working in a supermarket. I guess I was afraid of such things happening to Jane. Now, I hadn't talked to Jane about her degree until the last Thursday. When I brought the topic up, she confessed to me that she was ready to take one of the degrees I had recommended to her. I told her there was no need to, and she looked at me as if I was playing a cruel joke. I reassured her that I was being serious, and she began crying, due to happiness. I realized that I may have been favoring my sons due to their obedience to follow what I asked of them, and was punishing Jane for being herself rather than fitting into whatever I decided to make of her. Jane will be attending Oxford Uni later in the year to take her degree, and the relationship between us has never been better. I am highly appreciative of all the comments on my previous post. They helped me see how much I was prioritizing financial gain over my daughter's well-being. Something which should have never been a question in the first place. Am I the idiot for filling my coworker's bin with passive-aggressive tissues? I do admin. My role and the office I work in isn't public-facing. It is 2 linked open rooms with 2 smaller offices and a break room leading off them. At the beginning of September, we got called back to the office. Over lockdown, my coworker who has the desk next to me has acquired an emotional support dog. I am very allergic to dogs, and the first time I went back into the office, I wasn't expecting there to be a dog in it, so I didn't take any allergy meds. I asked her what the dog was doing there, and she explained he was her new emotional support animal. Within an hour, my eyes and nose were streaming, I was struggling to breathe and sucking on my inhaler. The office manager allowed me to go home and WFH for that day, and I agreed to take meds the next day. The next day I took meds and was a bit better, but I was sucking on my inhaler far more often than I would. I asked the manager if I could exchange desks with someone further away or move desks. This was refused, as was suggesting my coworker and dog work in one of the side offices. So over the last few weeks I've been trying different allergy meds. I've finally gone for one that is prescription, not over the counter, and I'm using my inhaler less. My eyes aren't streaming, but my nose is. I'm going through boxes of tissues. I'm hoping I get used to these meds because right now they're making me a bit slow. Anyway, I am working noticeably slower than I used to, and I was picked up on this over the phone by another colleague this week. I explained that I was on new medication and that I was hoping to be back up to speed soon. My coworker heard the conversation and told me I was passive-aggressively complaining about her dog because we all know why you're taking the meds, and that I was blaming the dog for having gotten lazy and slow over lockdown. I said that that wasn't true and she didn't know what passive aggression was. I then left and made myself a cup of tea. That was supposed to be my demo of passive aggression, but I heard her bitching about my attention-seeking tears. I literally couldn't stop my eyes streaming without medication, and maybe lost it a bit. When she went to lunch, I tipped my wastebin full of used tissues into hers. And it is full by lunch and then again by home time. I've done this every day this week. Another colleague says I've made my point and need to stop, otherwise she's planning on taking me to HR. My reaction was to say, let her, I don't care. Which got a disapproving reaction from the colleague who was trying to warn me. I'm being childish, I know, but am I really the idiot here? I'm beginning to feel like a total dumbass for not already going to HR. It didn't occur to me that I could after the manager said that I couldn't move desks or anything. Why I've not already gone to HR? Because I'm a dumbass, and it took the comments here before I realized I should have done that weeks ago. Can't do HR until Monday, but I have emailed my union for advice. Yeah, I've contacted my union. The rep even emailed back today she's meeting with me tomorrow to go through what my next steps are. Apparently she can come with me to any all HR meetings even if they're scheduled because my colleague puts in a complaint. So hopefully I stop thinking through my snot-filled haze tomorrow. I have no idea how I'd go about suing them, and I'm not totally convinced that I could or what that would mean for my work environment. However, I did get my union and HR involved, and I really should update this. Update: I've met with my union rep, and with their advice, composed an email and sent it to my supervisor. We have also requested a meeting with HR to discuss reasonable accommodations for my allergies. Update 2, Phew. So the too long didn't read of this post is I get to work from home 2 days a week. I still have my job and my coworker can bring her dog in when I'm at home. My union rep is a lovely woman who knows her stuff, and HR seem to have spent their time bullocking my supervisor. My supervisor responded to the initial email by telling me that we'd already discussed my requests, and I just had to suck up sitting next to the dog. So then I sent an email CC to HR saying that I couldn't come in the next day as my partner wasn't available to drive me, and I wasn't safe to drive due to the allergy meds I needed to take because of the ESA dog. Supervisor replied with a really unprofessional email, and according to my colleague got hauled into a meeting about that which involved one of the bosses actually shouting. I spent 2 days irritating my GP surgery for notes re allergies and asthma history, as well as a specific doctor's note for this incident. Then there was the meeting with HR. There was me, union rep, 2 HR people, supervisor, supervisor's boss, and supervisor's boss. They didn't take me to task at all. Instead, they wanted to accommodate my health and me to stop taking meds that affected my ability to drive to be able to work. So we worked out that I will work in the office Monday through Wednesday and from home Thursday through Friday. My colleague will work from home Monday through Tuesday and half-day WED. She and I both need to be in half-day on WED, which will be without her dog, but she can bring him in Thursday through Friday. And because the office gets deep cleaned Saturday, this shouldn't be a problem for me. By Monday,